Good afternoon, everybody. I'll take a quick moment to introduce myself. José Luis Los Arcos. Good news is you can call me JL. You don't need to remember all of that. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sports Partnerships at TelevisaUnivision. TelevisaUnivision, for those of you that don't know, is the #1 Spanish language media company in the world. Here in the United States, the #1 Spanish media company as well. Heavily involved in sports. My role within the company is to really bring to life how brands can come to life across our sports programming, whether it's in-game, game around the game, etc. And I'm thrilled to be here today with Lauren. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Severson. Thank you so much for joining again. So I'm at HARMAN International. I'm a senior marketing manager there. I've been with them for about 5 years now. I'm a little bit newer to the sports world. Always been an avid fan personally, but I've been in leading up our NIL and college partnerships for the last 8 months. So really excited to get started today. I've had 15 years of experience in marketing, like I said. In my past worlds, I've been at Pizza Hut, as well as Fossil, and done some work with Toyota and Ford, very heavily in social and digital and influencer space.
And I will admit, when I saw HARMAN International, I was like, wait a second, what's that? And then when I figured it, I was like, oh my God, of course. And I think you're carrying one of your products with you.
So some of our brands, we have JBL, which is one of the #1 brands that I work on. But we also have Harman Kardon. So some of you might be familiar with several of our other brands that we also support.
That's right. The product looks great.
Yeah.
I know we want to cover a couple of topics, right?
Yes.
And I think there's an agenda slide we can put up, but it's going to be an interesting conversation around culture and the relevance of culture in engaging with consumers, right? And how brands can tap into the passion that culture brings to the table in order to have that ongoing dialogue and conversation with consumers, fans, etc. So as you can see here, we're going to talk about cultural currency. We're going to learn a little bit how JBL is activating culture around sports specifically, and what type of campaigns, what you've seen as a success, and how you're working with your partners, whether athletes or leagues or endorsements in general, to bring to life your message. So let's start with cultural relevancy. What does that mean at JBL, and how are you guys leveraging it?
Yeah. So a big part of it is, we make some pretty awesome products. We make speakers, we make headphones, we make earbuds, all for anybody to use in their daily lives. And so we think it's a really great, not only portion that we really have some amazing products to work with, but then we also have some really great consumers, fans, and followers that we've, been supporting us through the years. But kind of a new audience that we're really diving into a lot is the Gen Z consumer, really targeting them overall. And we've been, definitely building up cultural cachet amongst that space. As everybody knows, Gen Z is very much within the social world. They're very tapped in. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, but they're not only consuming content, they're actually exploring those spaces to find out more about different products. They're starting the trends. There's coastal grandmothers out there, and there's quite a few other trends that they're setting. So they're not just kind of following overall culture, but they're being diverse in their different platforms and things that they are interested in, and kind of leading the charge. So it's really funny. We actually have found, kind of through our insights, that 61% of Gen Z actually influence consumer household products and shopping. So I think that's a big plus for us, is that's really why we're tapping into that audience overall. And we've got some really great cultural key stakeholders that we're kind of leading the charge along the way.
So I can certainly relate to that, because at TelevisaUnivision as well, culture is a massive part of our DNA, right? We believe incredibly strongly that talking to fans or consumers in culture makes a lot of difference, whether that is, in our case as well as yours, sports, music, entertainment, in the Hispanic space, as well as in general market, those passion points tend to be the same across the board, just maybe with slightly differences here and there into how you express that culture or live that culture.
Mhm.
But when you look at this diagram of yours, how are you
Yeah.
focusing on each of these different pillars?
Yeah, so we're tapping into each of these. We know that Gen Z has a strong affinity for each of these different spaces, and we're kind of been, they're at the center, and we want to be where they're at. So we want to, do different partnerships, be a part of the different moments, key cultural pieces that they're in as well. So we're really tapping into overall and putting us at the center of this trifecta. And I keep going here.
Yep.
And I think the biggest piece too is that, from a Gen Z standpoint, there's a blending of interests. I mean, I mentioned the cultural grandmas. Now the new wave, the new trend is some cowboy outfits. And, even in the sports world, fashion is coming now to more of the forefront. There's even beauty that's coming out and doing a lot of different partnerships. So we see this kind of cultural shift, really, that, Gen Z is out there saying, well, I really like this. And, you kind of need to go along with them, or you're going to be kind of lost in the crowd and not going and continuing on with them.
Yeah, I think one thing you mentioned that is very interesting is how, culture is always important, but now you're talking to a target that's literally defining culture and how you need to be with them along the way in order to first not be left out, but not to be perceived out of touch, not being in the know. So how do you
Yes.
work around that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're always kind of just in general trying to be on the pulse and really understanding where Gen Z is at, meeting them. I mean, we've got some really great partners too that we've been diving in, and they've been kind of leading the charge along for us. Like, essentially they are putting out their interest, and we're just kind of building up them overall, giving them that stage so they can really shine through and focus in on their interest, and we kind of go along with them. We're kind of the hype man for them. So it's just really exciting to be a part of that.
So I know today it's all about sports, and culture is sports and sports is culture. But I wanted to understand a little bit more how you guys over at JBL are looking at sports as a vehicle to connect with fans specifically. So we talked about, Gen Z and influencers and people that really have a very strong power to affect people and what they consume and what they end up buying at the store, et cetera. And I think sports athletes in general have always been influencers, right? Even before influencers was a thing.
Yes,
So
correct.
how are you guys looking at sports as a strategy?
Yeah. So I'll kind of switch on here, but we have some really great different partners, all the way from Clicks, who's our all-star gamer out there that we've been partnering with. We've got Flau'jae Johnson from LSU women's basketball team. Zeb Powell is an African-American snowboarder. So these individuals themselves are kind of leading the charge in that cultural relevancy and getting out there in the forefront. So we think this is a great opportunity to not only, we have a wide variety of folks that just kind of not only resonate with us as a brand, Flau'jae Johnson alone, she's a rapper, but she's also an all-star basketball player. And we think that overall, just those individuals who are multi-talented, multifaceted, are just super unique and interesting. She has some really interesting things to say on her songs, and overall, we're all for it. We're her cheerleader. We're helping her along the way. And I think just giving them kind of that platform for their voices to be heard is kind of the one key piece that we really have dove into a lot, specifically on the brand side.
How much of a intersection are you seeing between those passion points that we had up on the screen a second ago? Because we certainly see specifically, in our world in Spanish language, soccer is the number one, second, and third sport there is. But soccer comes along with music, with fashion, with entertainment. How much of a blending do you see when you activate your sponsorships?
Yeah, I mean, as you can see here, we've got a wide variety of athletes that we've been partnering with. So it's been really unique to not only just tap into some of the larger sports for football or basketball, but we've got a tennis player, we have a golfer, we have a gymnast who's actually vying for the Olympics this summer. So I think overall, that's just not only tapping into people who are those cultural creators, but then also seeing that there is the potential to have just more than one sport. There's a lot of relevancy out there with these individuals, and they have some really strong engagement, especially on their social media channels. So we find this as kind of a different platform where there's the macro influencers that we partner with, but then there's all the way down to the micro level.
With sports fans, I always think, and I assume it's the same with anybody who's an expert on their field, but I always say sports fans can smell if a brand is authentic or not immediately. They can tell if you're speaking their language, if you're genuine, if you're really supporting them and the sport that they love. So when you look at activating these partnerships with athletes, how much is authenticity an imperative as you work with them?
Yeah, for sure. I think alone, we a lot of times give them kind of the ideas and some content thought starters. You know, we let them know we have a new product coming out, and this is all the product details, but we want you to integrate them in personally how you would fit it into your personal content. So it's not force fitted. We want people to engage with not only our products, but us as a brand as well. So we have some really strong partners, like I said. So we've got Zeb Powell as our first one. We've got Flau'jae Johnson, and then Gleyber Torres from New York Yankees is just some key content examples here where we gave them content briefs, but we said, you take it and run with it. We want you to show your authentic self. It's going to be going up in your social platforms. And we want you to really shine through the content.
And I would think you mentioned earlier that obviously JBL has been involved in sports sponsorships for some time, but as you and I was talking earlier, over the last 8 months, college sports and college athletes have really become a priority. And I would think with them, that authentic component is even more elevated than with older, let's say, athletes, and that they've grown up in a world where they're creating their own content since they're very, very young, right? And they have their own voice, as we just heard a second ago. So talk us a little bit about this new kind of pillar of your work, which is college athletes.
Yeah, so I've been diving in deep to college NIL athlete partnership. So we actually have 25 athletes on our roster right now. Like I mentioned, it's a variety of different sports. They're all Division I schools, which is very fortunate. We did end up signing up to utilize the school IP. So you see here, most of the student athletes do have their team gear on. We think that helps from a notoriety standpoint. Not only are these individuals posting on their social channels, but we're then boosting that content and actually driving to our website, to our retailer pages, to really drive that as, this individual is wearing it, and here's your opportunity to go and purchase it as well. A big key piece here, I know somebody from the panel before was talking about women in social media and how, they're doing a pretty good job on it. We actually have 70% of our 25 athletes that are female. So we're really excited about that alone. We think that, there's a big platform, as we all know, the Caitlin Clark effect, and the women's sports are in the forefront right now. And so we actually have this round of athletes partnerships that goes through the end of May, but we've got next school year, we'll be looking to more in the coming future.
So as I said before, for us, soccer is everything. Us meaning Hispanic, Spanish language. As you look at your roster of college athletes and understanding the momentum that soccer has in this country, with Messi coming, Copa America happening this summer, World Cup in 26, Club World Cup in 25, how much are you evaluating potentially on the men's and women's side soccer athletes?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I mentioned the gymnast who is now going and trying to get into the Olympics this summer. I think it's definitely something that we're going to look to and seeing, who makes the most sense for our brand as a partner, but then, where are they personally? We were fortunate enough to have some really great players who ended up making it to the national championships for the football game, who were in bowl games, who made it to the women's Final Four. And so we were not only great to see that momentum that they had personally on a personal level, as well as with their team. But we were, we didn't pay for the sponsorship through the NCAA double, Final Four. We actually just partnered directly with those individuals who were, all a part of that conversation. So not only could we tap into it, most brands don't necessarily have a lot of, hundreds of thousands of dollars to activate at a larger level. So these are kind of ways that we tapped into, lower capacity, budgets, but then also to just really span that out across overall.
And I guess another question I had for you is when you think about athlete endorsements, again, college students, et cetera, my mind normally just gravitates towards the content that they're pushing out on social media with you, their presence online, how they're leveraging your product online and talking about it. But how much do you do, if you do, outside of the online and digital world, and more physical on-site interaction with fans with a product?
Yeah, so we definitely love our in-person events. It's just a great way to showcase our brand. And actually, next Saturday, y'all are invited to come out to our JBL Soho store. We have an amazing event going on. Flau'jae Johnson's actually going to perform at the store, so we're excited. So it's next Saturday from 2 to 6, and keeps going forward, sorry. But next Saturday from 2 to 6, so we're excited to have you all out. It's going to be supporting the launch of our new party box. So really, really excited about that.
And I'm assuming everybody can just say they know Lauren, and that's good.
Yes.
They can just say,
I mean,
all right.
it is open to the public, but if you want to mention name drop, you're totally fine.
Thank you very much for this insightful conversation, and would love to open it up to questions from the crowd.
I'll ask a question. Outside of influencers, do you guys still consider or do any of the like major league sports or team partnerships? And how does that play into the overall strategy?
Yeah, so we actually are a partner with New York Yankees, and it's really to help and benefit and support our storefront here in New York, but also we do a lot of business relationship building efforts and a lot of things that we do within that. If you are able to make it to the Yankees, and we have a really unique JBL Club Lounge that just got set up too. So it's a really unique brand sponsorship opportunity. We've got different placements throughout the stadium as well, and as well as JBL speakers throughout. So we're really excited about continuing that partnership. As of now, we just have the Yankees. From a pro sports standpoint, we are looking to other athletes. More on my side specifically, though, we're really honing in on and hunkering down college athletes.
Jose, Lauren, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.